So today we're going to dive into the brilliant, trailblazing, and, let's be honest, ultimately tragic life of one of history's greatest scientific minds, Marie Curie. And her story? Wow. It's this incredible mix of discovery, pure grit, and sacrifice that has this profound paradox right at its very heart.
And that right there, that's the core of it. Her greatest gift to humanity was completely tied to her own destruction. It's a story of genius that came at the highest possible price.
I mean, just look at this photograph. You've got Einstein, Schrödinger, Bohr, Planck. It's a room packed with the 29 sharpest minds on the entire planet. And right there, front and center, is Marie Curie. This one image just perfectly captures her unique position. She was an absolute titan in a world that was built by and for men.
All right, so to really get a handle on the sheer scale of her impact, we have to start with her achievements, and they were, to put it mildly, completely unprecedented.
Think about this for a second. Any one of these would be a life's work for somebody. Marie Curie did all three. She wasn't just the first woman to win a Nobel, she was the first person ever to win it twice. And she's still the only person to ever win in two different scientific fields, physics and chemistry. That's just a staggering legacy.
So where did all this drive, this grit come from? Well, it didn't just appear out of thin air. It was forged in a childhood that was just marked by loss and oppression, which absolutely shaped the resilient scientist she would become.
She was born Maria Sklodowska in Warsaw, which at the time was under Russian control. And her family, they were constantly up against it. Her dad got pushed into lower-paying jobs just for being a Polish patriot, and the family lost all their savings. And then, unimaginable tragedy struck. She lost her sister to typhus, and then, just a few years later, when she was only 10, her mother died of tuberculosis.
And this next part just perfectly shows you what she was dealing with. The official university in Warsaw, it flat out banned women. So did that stop her? No way. She enrolled in a secret underground school called the Flying University, which held classes in different locations all the time to avoid the authorities. I mean, can you imagine? She was basically a fugitive scholar.
But even that wasn't going to be enough. To get a real degree, she had to get to Paris. So she made a pact with her sister, Branya. Marie spent years working as a governess, sending her money to Paris so Branya could get through medical school. And it was all based on a promise that, one day, Branya would return the favor. It's just an incredible act of sacrifice and trust.
And finally, in 1891, when she was 24, it was her turn. She moved to Paris, enrolled at the famous Sorbonne, and started the work that would change the world, beginning with a partnership that would define her life.
In Paris, she met Pierre Curie, a well-known physicist, and as Marie herself put it, she found in him not just a husband, but a true intellectual soulmate, someone who shared her absolute, total devotion to science. They became partners, both in the lab and in life.
So what were they focused on? Well, it was this really mysterious phenomenon that had just been discovered in uranium. Marie was so central to this new field of study, she's the one who actually came up with the name we still use for it today, radioactivity.
Her process, it was a masterclass in scientific detective work. She was following up on Becquerel's work and noticed something weird. The raw ore, this stuff called pitchblende, was way more radioactive than the uranium they'd pulled from it. So she guessed there had to be something else in there, something new. And that led to years of backbreaking work. I mean, literally processing tons of ore in this drafty, leaky shack until she and Pierre isolated not one, but two new elements, polonium, which she named for her beloved Poland, and radium.
And radium, wow, that was the real game changer. It wasn't just a little more radioactive. We're talking 900 times more radioactive than polonium. This was a fundamental force of nature that they had harnessed for the very first time.
So, as you can imagine, this discovery shot them to global fame and got them the highest honors in science. But even when she was at the very top of her game, Marie was constantly fighting this uphill battle against the prejudice of her time. Okay, get this. For her first Nobel Prize in 1903, the committee, they were just going to give it to the guys, Pierre and Becquerel. They were going to completely erase her foundational work. It was only because Pierre found out and furiously insisted that she be included that she got the prize at all. And then, just as things were on track, tragedy strikes again. In 1906, Pierre was killed in a horrible street accident. Marie was devastated, but she was offered his professorship at the Sorbonne. And by accepting, she shattered yet another barrier, becoming the first ever female professor in all of France.
But that prejudice, it just wouldn't go away. And this is the part that just blows my mind. In 1911, she wins her second Nobel Prize, something no one had ever done before. In that exact same year, the French Academy of Sciences rejected her application for membership. They literally said no thanks to a two-time Nobel laureate, likely because she was a woman and an immigrant.
Around this time, the press was also just hounding her over a personal affair, calling her a homewrecker. It was a brutal, brutal time. But she had some powerful friends in her corner. Albert Einstein himself wrote her this letter, telling her how much he admired her and basically telling her to just ignore all the hogwash.
She pushed through all of it, of course, and poured her energy right back into her work. And that's where the story takes another turn, especially when World War I broke out. Her discoveries went from pure science to a tool that saved lives, and this is where the price of that genius became tragically, painfully clear. She developed these mobile X-ray stations. They were nicknamed Petite Curies, or Little Curies. And get this, she drove them to the front lines herself. These little vans allowed surgeons to find bullets and shrapnel in wounded soldiers, and they're estimated to have saved about 1 million lives.
But here's the tragic part. All this time, with all this incredible work, she had no idea she was slowly poisoning herself. This image is just so haunting. She was so fascinated by the elements she discovered that she would actually carry test tubes full of radium in her pockets just so she could watch them glow. She called them her faint fairy lights. She had no idea that beautiful light was slowly destroying her body. She died in 1934, at the age of 66, from aplastic anemia. It's a disease where your bone marrow just stops making new blood cells, and the cause was almost certainly a lifetime of exposure to the very radiation she had harnessed to save so many others.
But her legacy, it is just immense. Her own daughter, Irene, followed in her footsteps and won her own Nobel Prize. The institutes she founded are still world-class research centers. In 1995, she received France's highest honor when she was reburied in the Pantheon. And yet, even in that final tribute, there's this chilling reminder of her sacrifice. Her remains had to be placed in a lead-lined coffin because they were still radioactive.
And it doesn't stop there. Even today, right now, her notebooks from the lab are still so radioactive that you need to wear protective gear to even look at them. It's this powerful, tangible piece of her story that's still with us. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is the true price of discovery?